In 235 AD, something remarkable happened across the Roman Empire. It wasn't a war, nor a plague, but something far more insidious. The wealthy Romans began quietly converting their silver coins into land, buying farms and olive groves, real assets. And the ordinary citizens? They kept holding cash, trusting the currency and saving for the future. Within decades, the wealthy had preserved their fortunes. And what became of the ordinary citizens? Sadly, they were left financially devastated. And here's the disturbing part. The exact same pattern is playing out right now, and most people aren't even aware. In the next 12 minutes, I'll show you the 5 levels of protecting your wealth. By the end, you'll know exactly which level you're at, why that matters, and how to move up. But more importantly, you'll understand the game you're actually playing. Because most people are playing the wrong game entirely. Let me start with what happened in Rome, because understanding their mistake might save your financial future. Picture ancient Rome at its height. The silver denarius, a coin trusted across the Mediterranean for centuries, was the imperial currency. Soldiers were paid in denarii, merchants traded with them, and families worked hard to save as much of it as they could. But the emperors had a problem. Wars raged in the east, expenses mounted, and the imperial treasury sat empty. So the rulers made a clever decision that would echo down the ages. They debased the currency, secretly mixed copper into the silver coins. The coin carried the same stamp, had the same face value, but inside, there was far less silver. At first, nobody noticed, but over the decades, the debasement accelerated. 10% copper became 50, then 80, and eventually reality dawned on the merchants. They weighed the coins, tested them, and when they discovered the truth, prices exploded. Bread that cost 1 denarius now cost 5. Rent multiplied. Savings evaporated. But here's what's fascinating. The wealthy Romans didn't suffer. They saw it coming. The moment they sensed currency debasement, they acted. The wealthy converted coins into land, farms, and mills. Real assets that produced real value regardless of what happened to the money. The wealthy Romans understood something profound. There are 2 games you can play with money. Game 1. The status game. This is what most people play. The external ranking, the visible wealth, the Porsche in the driveway, the designer shoes, the Instagram lifestyle. And here's the problem with the status game. To win, someone else has to lose. Your Porsche only improves your status if your neighbor doesn't have one. It's a ladder where you're constantly looking up and down, never ahead. As Naval Ravikant says, playing status games makes you angry and competitive. You're always fighting to put others down to put yourself up. Game 2. The wealth game. This is what the wealthy Romans played. This isn't about what everyone else can see. It's what's happening behind the scenes. The money in the bank being invested into assets. The business you're building. The freedom you're buying. The power to live life on your own terms. The millionaire next door puts it perfectly. Wealth is not the same as income. If you make a good income each year and spend it all, you're not getting wealthier. You're just living high. So here's the question. Which game are you playing? Because that determines which of the 5 levels you're at. Most people move through 5 distinct levels in their financial journey. Some get stuck. Some skip levels. Some don't even realize which level they're on. But here's what matters. Understanding where you are right now. Because you can't move forward until you know your starting point. Let's begin with Level 1. Level 1. The status player. At this level, you're playing the status game without even realizing it. You've got money in savings, maybe £5,000, maybe 10,000. You earn a decent income. You spend most of it on things that look good externally. And here's the psychological trap. You're comparing yourself to everyone else constantly. According to research on social comparison, this creates what psychologists call loss aversion. The pain of feeling behind is twice as powerful as the pleasure of feeling ahead. So even if you're outperforming 99% of people around you, if there's even one person in your circle who appears to be doing better, that one person dominates your thinking. Your neighbor buys a new car. Suddenly your car feels inadequate. A colleague gets a promotion. Your salary feels insufficient. This is level 1, and the data shows where it leads. In the UK, 40% of people don't even have 1 month of living expenses saved. They're earning, they're spending, but they're not building wealth. If this is where you are, there's no judgment, but there is a better way. Let me show you level 2. Level 2. The aware but paralyzed. At this level, you've realized the status game is a trap. You know you should be investing, saving, building assets. But you're overwhelmed. Do you buy stocks? Which ones? Index funds? What's an index fund? Gold? Bitcoin? Property? Every expert contradicts the last one. So you freeze. You research endlessly. You compare options. But you don't act. And here's what most people don't realize. The cost of doing nothing isn't zero. Every month you spend paralyzed by options is another month inflation eats your savings. Another month compound growth could have been working for you. Another month of your financial future slipping away. Research shows that finding out you earn more than your peers creates mild satisfaction that fades quickly. But finding out you earn less, that creates lasting discontent. This is loss aversion, and it keeps you trapped at level 2. If you're at level 2, stuck in analysis paralysis, the answer isn't more research. The answer is action. Even imperfect action beats perfect inaction. Let me show you exactly what to do. Level 3. The fundamental builder. At this level, you've got 3 things locked down. Fundamental 1. You live below your means. Your income exceeds your expenses, not by accident, but by design. You're aware of your relationship with money. You know where it goes. You control it rather than letting it control you. Fundamental 2. You have an emergency fund. At least 1 month of living expenses, ideally 3 to 6. This isn't investment money. This is your buffer, your protection against life's surprises. And if you have this, you're ahead of most people. Remember, 40% don't even have 1 month saved. Fundamental 3. You have manageable debt. You're not using debt to buy things you don't need. You're paying your bills on time without borrowing. You might have a mortgage, but you're not drowning in credit card debt. The average American has $32,878 in debt, not including their mortgage. UK credit card debt is at an all-time high. If you're able to save a portion of your income, maintain an emergency fund, and pay bills without going into debt, you're way ahead of most people. But level 3 is maintenance. It's financial stability. It's not financial freedom. For that, you need level 4. Level 4, the asset builder. This is where everything changes. This is where you stop playing defense and start playing offense. This is the level where the wealthy Romans position themselves, and it's where you need to be. Here's the mathematics that matters. The FTSE 100 has returned 7 to 8% per year on average over 30 years. The S&P 500? About 10%. Some years it drops. 2022 was brutal. But over decades, it trends upward. And these returns are after inflation. So if inflation is 3% and stocks return 8%, you're gaining 5% in real purchasing power. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't know how to pick stocks. What if I lose everything? Here's the solution. You don't pick stocks. An index fund owns a slice of every company in an index. Buy an S&P 500 index fund. You own Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, all 500 companies. You're not trying to pick winners. You're betting that the economy as a whole will grow. And historically, it does. Charles Schwab studied the worst market timer in history. Someone who invested right before every major crash. The 2000 dot-com bubble. The 2008 financial crisis. That person still made money over 20 years. Because they stayed invested. So here's exactly how to reach level 4. Step 1. Open an account with Vanguard. It's designed for beginners. Low fees. Takes 10 minutes. Step 2. Choose one index fund. The Vanguard FTSE Global All Cap Index Fund. Over 7,000 companies worldwide. That's it. One fund. Step 3. Set up a monthly direct debit. £50, £100, whatever you can afford. Automate it. Step 4. Forget about it. Don't check daily. Don't panic when it drops. Let compound growth work. Time is your advantage. The longer you invest, the more it grows. And here's the brutal truth about waiting. If someone starts investing £100 per month at age 20, by age 60, they'll have approximately £400,000. If they wait until age 30, £200,000. That's a £200,000 difference for waiting 10 years. That's level 4. And honestly, if you get here and stop, you're ahead of 90% of people. You're doing what the wealthy Romans did. You're building real wealth, not just status. But there is a level 5. Level 5. The wealth diversifier. At this level, you've mastered index funds, but now you're spreading across multiple asset types. Property that generates rental income and appreciates with inflation. Gold, a 5,000-year store of value that survives currency collapses. Perhaps Bitcoin, designed with a hard cap of 21 million coins, inflation-proof by code. But here's what's critical to understand. You don't need level 5 to achieve financial freedom. Level 4 is enough. Level 5 is for those who want maximum diversification. It's advanced. It's optional. Most people should aim for level 4 and stop there. It's the sweet spot between simplicity and effectiveness. The wealthy Romans didn't need 20 different asset types. They needed land and income-producing assets. You don't need complexity. You need consistency. So let's step back for a moment. We've talked about 5 levels. We've talked about tactics. But there's something deeper happening here. Wayne Dyer said, "If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change." Your perception of how well you're doing is massively driven by society's expectations. Society applauds lavish lifestyles, external rankings, monetary achievements. But what if you rewired your thinking? What if you looked at your success through the lens of yourself as an individual, rather than through the lens of society? When you do this, it sets you free. Free from comparison. Free from expectations. Free from playing a game where other people make the rules. Naval asks a powerful question. Would you rather be the world's greatest lover, but have everyone think you're the worst? Or be the world's worst, but have everyone think you're the best? In other words, would you rather be at the top of your ladder socially, even if you know you don't belong there? Or be at the bottom socially, knowing deep down you're number one? Real wealth is what happens behind the scenes. The emergency fund no one sees. The index fund that grows quietly. The debt you didn't take on. The freedom you're building. Not the Porsche in the driveway. The Romans who played the wealth game survived. Those who played the status game lost everything. Which game are you playing? So here's the question. Which level are you at right now? Level 1. Playing the status game, comparing constantly. Level 2. Aware but paralyzed by options. Level 3. Fundamentals locked down but not investing. Level 4. Building real wealth through assets. Level 5. Fully diversified across multiple asset types. Drop a comment below and let me know. Be honest. No judgment. Just self-awareness. Because you can't move forward until you know where you are. Here's what I want you to remember. The wealthy Romans saw currency debasement coming. They acted while everyone else waited and hoped. 2,000 years later, the same pattern is playing out. You have two choices. Play the status game and feel perpetually behind. Or play the wealth game and build real freedom. The Romans who chose wisely survived. Those who didn't were ruined. Which side of history will you be on? If this video gave you clarity, hit the like button. Subscribe for more videos on building real wealth without the noise. And if you know someone who's feeling financially behind, someone playing the status game without realizing it, share this with them. I'll see you in the next one.